Now, Bury Council has decided to appeal after losing its legal battle over equal pay. Last month, an employment tribunal backed 1,400 claims, most from women, alleging pay discrimination. Bury Council has already spent more than £600,000 in legal fees fighting the claims. The costs in the figure could now be much higher. With me now is Keith Westley, who's from the union Unison. And Keith, are you the regional officer of the Equal Pay Unit?
That's right.
So this is obviously an issue very close to your heart. Welcome to Channel M today. Are you surprised that they've appealed?
Yes, I am. I'm surprised and appalled. And this means that 1,200 women who've been told by the Employment Tribunal that their claims are sound and that they're owed a lot of money by Bury Council are now going to have to wait while Bury Council spends even more taxpayers' money on fighting a judgment which has gone against it.
Let's put this into context. It started in Cumbria, if I'm right, didn't it? Some ladies in Cumbria who were victims of pay discrimination sued their council and won. Very quickly, the Greater Manchester authorities thought, hey up, if we don't get this settled...
Except for Bury.
Except for Bury. 9 of the 10 have settled and agreed. So if you work in 9 of the 10 boroughs, you're fine. If you work in Bury... What is the difference in pay, for example? What has been for the people outside Bury? How much better off are people as a result of this?
We're talking about people who are claiming that they didn't receive bonuses on top of the rate for their job. People in jobs that are mainly done by men got the rate for the job, and they got bonuses of up to 50–60% on top of their pay. So we're talking about people who've been underpaid by anything up to 50–60%.
Over how many? Over quite some.
The claims go back over 6 years to the date the claims were made. Well, that's getting on for 2 years ago now. So we're looking at 8 years at 50% of your salary.
Which is quite a lot of money by anybody's reckoning, isn't it? I should just read the statement that we've had from Bury Council. They say they don't want to comment until the outcome of the appeal. They say, after careful consideration of the tribunal's decision, they've lodged an appeal against the findings concerning equal pay. The decision to appeal has not been taken lightly. The council is keenly aware of its duty to safeguard taxpayers' money, a responsibility it takes seriously at all times. The decision to lodge an appeal was based upon leading counsel's advice. Now, Mark Sanders, who is the chief executive of Bury, Keith, says if he were to acknowledge these pay claims, it would cost him in the region of £20 million, which the council doesn't have, and in the end you may find some of your members being made redundant as a consequence.
Well, it's interesting that they're saying that what they're about is saving taxpayers' money, because the money that this argument is about, the difference between what women get paid and what men get paid, there is a facility that was available from the government, which Bury could have applied to release funds through a process called capitalisation, where Bury could have got funds to pay for settling their equal pay liabilities. They're released through central government.
So why didn't Mark Sanders
Bury didn't do that?
Then?
Bury's approach to equal pay in the first place was the approach of the ostrich. They said, we can't afford it, so we'll do nothing about it. That's why we were forced into lodging over 1,000 equal pay claims against Bury to make anything happen at all. And now they've spent £600,000 already on a fight which they mainly lost in the Employment Tribunal. And now they're looking at spending even more money and taking even more time.
Well, they've appealed against the Tribunal's decision. How much longer, then, in your experience of these proceedings, will it take before we come to some kind of conclusion? You
mentioned Cumbria County Council, and I think the nightmare scenario is that Bury becomes the next Cumbria County Council, because in Cumbria it's 7 years since the women claimants won the first stage of the legal process.
So it could be as long as 7 years before Bury have to...
And in Cumbria spent a fortune sustaining a legal argument on defending their claim, which hasn't been successful. And they've now, at the end of 7 years down the line, having spent a fortune on legal fees and costs, they're now coming to us with a substantial sum of money to settle the claim after all. We want Bury to adopt a sensible approach and accept what is just as inevitable and come to us now with sensible proposals.
OK. Well, we'll follow the case very closely. Keith, thanks very much indeed for your thoughts. We'll have to leave it there.